We're going to talk about breath and the brain, breathing and your brain. Our hope is the goals tonight are 3, but we want to help you understand the science of breathing. We want you to learn different breathing techniques. These are some things you control and the ways to incorporate them for a better brain health. The master controller of your body is your nervous system, your brain, your spinal cord. The last, we hope you assess your breathing habits and you make a plan for improvement. So let's talk about the neuroscience a little bit. The Botzinger complex, the pre-Botzinger complex is actually what controls breathing. But the Botzinger complex is where breathing is controlled in your brain. It's a tiny group of cells, just like a pacemaker for your breath. Think of it that way. Your breathing is going to happen knowingly or unknowingly all the time. If we don't have it, we die, ultimately. So this is going to do the following things. Number 1, it's going to make you breathe properly if you're unconscious or asleep. We want to make sure that your body is regulating its air getting in, oxygen, CO2. There's changes in the breathing rhythm depending on your emotional state. Because your breathing is controlled in your brain and your brain is affected by emotional chemicals, your emotional state will absolutely affect your brain, okay? Number 2 point there's a connection. This is always going to take over control of breathing during activities like meditation and certain exercises. So if you want to control your breathing, you can, but if you choose not to control it, that's fine. We've got the complex there. So your body was built to self-regulate and self-heal. That's the premise of chiropractic. That holistically, if your body's communicating, it can regulate and heal on its own. The power that made your body is the power that heals your body. We're just getting into understanding how that works. What's the chemistry? Breathing is how your body takes in oxygen. Well, getting into this, you have to bring in oxygen. Oxygen is very important. It is what fuels our body. It creates ATP eventually. And breathing also gets rid of carbon dioxide. Too much carbon dioxide, you die. That's a waste product. Oxygen is your fuel. Breathing isn't just about keeping your heart and lungs beating. There's more. What's the biology of breathing have to teach us? Well, when your breathing is relaxed and deep, slowing yourself down means that your nervous system relaxes and it shifts into the resting and digesting mode. When you have deep, relaxing breaths, your blood pressure will lower when you're deep breathing. Your brain is able to think clearer. You've got more oxygen. You've got a body not in fight or flight, which means that your cortisol is reduced. Cortisol is that stress hormone, and we love to blame a lot of our problems on cortisol. Especially there's people in my office as they start to get older, maybe they're not getting weight off anymore, their body isn't functioning the way they used to, and cortisol is to blame, and it probably is. But we can change our chemistry by changing our breath. That's the biggest point here that we want to tell you, is yes, you might have stress up here, but we can maybe control it here. We can take the physical to change the chemical, not just to have our chemical change our physical, which does happen, and we're going to talk about that. Our circulation improves, healing becomes more efficient, and the list goes on and on and on. How many breaths a day do you think you take? Just think you should probably take about 13 or 15 breaths a minute. You do that for, it's 1,440 minutes. 1,440 minutes, well, the math actually comes out that you're doing up to 17,000 to 20,000 breaths a day. So that's the number of times you breathe each day. I try to help people understand when they're looking at their posture for the first time in front of our posture mirror, that what they see in their body's posture and their distortion patterns typically relates to the fact that your body's putting more energy into just staying straight, more energy into the normal functions of your body. Gravity's always going to be down on us. Well, we're going to have to breathe every day. There's a day that you will stop. We all will. But until that point, let's get the most efficient breath we can. If we're breathing 17,000 times a day or even up to 20,000 times a day, and it's hard on our bodies are in bad posture, they're stiff, they're restricted, that means the amount of oxygen you're putting into your cells is less every breath. So you may need more breaths. You may need more energy. You may not be as efficient as you'd like to be. Your goals, your attitude, everything's affected. This is why chiropractic adjustments are at the base of healing for a lot of things. When we remove subluxations in your spine, science has shown us that you increase your vital capacity. You get more air in each breath. If you're going to take the breaths, make them worth it, right? If you're going to stand straight, make it worth it. There's 6 different types of breathing, and I'm going to go through them real quick. The first is called tidal breathing. This is actually what most people go throughout the day when you're just naturally kind of relaxed in a breathing pattern. When you're at rest, you're not stressed, you're not exercising, you just have consciously controlled breathing. That's tidal breathing. Inhale, exhale, it's roughly equal in length. It's small amounts of your lung is being used. You're not overusing your lungs there. It's very minimal. Why do people sigh? Good question, right? I know if I hear a number of sighs from someone, if I'm talking to them about their care or anything, I'll know that there's some stress going on. But it's a reflex, actually. It usually results from either holding your breath, crying, or trying, it's your body's attempt to relax. When you breathe out heavy, it actually stimulates your vagus nerve. So your brain is being stimulated when you sigh. Also when you gargle. So if you're trying to help, this isn't a breathing class, but when you gargle, it actually stimulates your vagus nerve. And your vagus nerve is huge into health. So, for the record, you don't need a fancy device from medical system to implant in your neck. When you have too much carbon dioxide going on in your body will sigh. Your lungs aren't inflated fully, and so the sigh happens to expand them. Nasal breathing. This is kind of getting into, this is naturally occurs when you're sleeping, hopefully. It usually filters your air, it dehumidifies the air, it boosts nitric oxygen in your body, so when you breathe through your nose, it promotes calm and focus, nasal breathing. So, nasal breathing, we'll see you have there's a handout you'll see at the end that you can get on a QR code. Go to our website or just come in here and we'll talk about nasal breathing exercises. But just when you do use your nose to breathe, these things happen. That's a positive thing, right? Mouth breathing. Probably everyone's heard, oh, mouth breathing's bad. Well, not all bad. When you need to increase the amount of oxygen you're getting in, you're going to use your nose, your mouth, everything you possibly can. If it's intense exercise, if you're congested, thank the Lord that we only have more than one way to breathe, right? Life would be pretty tricky if we could not breathe in easily, if that could get stopped. So we have to really breathe through our mouth. Usually though, you're not filtering your air, you're not humidifying it, it's less effective at filtration. You probably have more chemicals brought in. It can definitely lead to dry mouth, poor sleep, higher stress levels when you breathe through your mouth. This is why if you do have extra congestion and things, we definitely look at looking for some providers to help with that. I can give some suggestions of what I've seen to help open up the nasal passages. There's some very simple saline solutions. I do them twice a day myself. To food sensitivities and allergies are a big thing. So just know that if you feel like you're a mouth breather, it's something to look into. It's affecting your health. Deep breathing. Well, deep breathing usually doesn't occur unless you attempt to do this, unless you're exercising heavily. But it's when you're trying to relax your body. Deep breathing is when your body's in the most protected, safe, and relaxed state, and your parasympathetic system, which is your opposite of your fight or flight, it's that rest and digest system, is enhanced. Reducing stress, anxiety, improving oxygenation, deep breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing. So if you're ever doing a breath like this, it's where you would breathe in your nose usually, or your mouth, but nose, and you want to almost feel your belly expand. If you put your hands on your belly and you took a really deep breath, you'd want to feel your belly push out like a big Buddha belly into your hands. Your diaphragm is being pulled down significantly. That's helping the negative pressure pulling oxygen into your lungs, as many of those little alveoli as possible. And then when you breathe out, it all goes out slowly. That's deep breathing. Shallow breathing. This is what happens a lot in our society. Shallow breathing, though, is going to affect our system in a very negative way. When we breathe shallow, we tend to be more stressed, anxious, panic attacks. You ever had panic? This is shallow breathing. Your body is physically exerting itself, and it's exerting you. When it doesn't fully oxygenate your lungs, but you breathe fast, it increases anxiety. This is that fight or flight response. Your body's heart rate's increased, your breathing rate's increased, but you're not pulling in air. Shallow breathing is what happens when stress is upon us. And that stress, it hijacks our normal breath and healing. So we want to try to prevent that. So this is the stat. This is surprising to me, but up to 80% of adults in a research study suggested they engage in shallow breathing every day. Just think about how much our bodies are being hijacked by so many things. If all you did was reread this workshop every week and try to make some change, your health would increase. Your stress would decrease. Just breathe. It helps your brain. Is shallow breathing really that bad? Well, I hopefully made it sound bad. It is. It really is. What happens when you have shallow breaths? That means your oxygen is decreasing. I said you could be subluxated in your ribs. I don't know if everyone's received an adjustment from me with my hand behind you and your ribs just open up and you go, oh, it's like you haven't breathed for years. That's because you've been that restricted. Your oxygen is decreased. Less oxygen means less energy. That means carbon dioxide builds up because we we're not getting rid of enough CO2 because we're not breathing heavy enough, your brain goes, oh my golly, I'm pretty sure that we've got something going on here. So it sounds the alarm. You've got to get rid of CO2 somehow. So your heart rates change, they increase. Your brain function has to tune down because it doesn't want to use too much energy. Your body becomes fatigued and distressed. I can't tell you the amount of people come in my office with fatigue, 80%. And some of it could just be due to our breath, for sure. So let's put it simple, right? More oxygen, calm, and clarity. Slowing down our breath, deep breaths increases calm and clarity. Shallow breathing, stress, tension, anxiety increases CO2, decreases oxygen, and causes us to feel more stressed, more foggy, and more fatigued. And when we're in that state, we are then breathing even shallower because we're more stressed and more fatigued. So we don't have the energy. Exercise is a wonderful reboot for some of this stuff because you have to breathe deep, right? So this is one ways to hack. Everyone's into health hacks. Exercise is the original health hack, honestly, just moving our bodies. If I had to limit my advice to one thing, this is Dr. Andrew Weil. He's like the father of integrative medicine, of natural medicine to some degree. On a healthier living, just one tip. He could only say one thing to everybody. He would just say, learn how to breathe correctly. I've heard some people say, just drink more water. Your breath, right? Your breath. So integrating proper breathing. There are some common traps we can run into with breathing. So we'll go over those. Know that your breathing, there are options. Variety, your brain loves variety. We're going to get into that. And how do you stack those habits? Like I said, if you change your habits, you will change your life. But there are things you're already doing. So instead of throwing everything out the window and making life really tricky, use what you're already doing to add a habit to. We're going to talk about breathing with that. I love this one. Some of the common traps. I'd never heard of this. This is my person who does some deep dives on the internet. I love it. Email apnea is a thing. You will hold your breath when you're on devices. If you're stuck, I know for me, if I know there's something stressful is probably going to get sent to me, I'm probably holding my breath when I'm going to open my email. Or I know pretty much most of my email isn't to help me, it's probably to make me more stressed. Or whatever it is, a text message, whatever. So there's a such thing as email apnea. Holding your breath when you're on devices is a real deal. Your brain is being overstimulated with visual stimulus, which means that those parts of the brain, that area we talked about, get somewhat shut down and shunted. You shunt your energy. Mouth breathing or chest breathing under stress. We get into a stressed position and our chest raises and just slowly tries to get air in without using our diaphragm. Our belly and our diaphragm are where the body wants to go to get more energy in, but when we're just breathing through our mouth or our chest, we're under more stress. Forgetting to breathe deeply when we're focused. Just be careful. Here's the QR code. If you want a breakdown of all these breathing tools we're going to give you, I think it's actually right here. If it's on our website, I think that's it. Hopefully that's the one. But that QR code is something you guys can scan when you're sitting there right now, or you can get it in when you're in here. But basically all these breathing tools and techniques are described in detail because I don't really want to go into breathing. We've done that a little bit. I want you just to know that there's lots of ways to do breath. You can count your breaths. That's awesome. The simplest things you can do is take your mind off of whatever its scatter and chatter is and focus it on your breath. So count them. That way it's like counting sheep. Belly breathing, box breathing, progressive lengthening, alternating nostril breathing. That's always fun. That's a fun one. Psychological sigh. We did that already. So the habit stacking, let's talk about that because this is a good one. If you brew coffee in the morning or tea, or if you're preparing something, just wait for it and do 3 belly breaths when you're doing it. It's easy to say, you see your coffee machine, you say, I gotta breathe. I wanna start my day with relaxation, not the caffeinated overstress that I'm going to be. I'm gonna start with relaxation. So breathing, make your coffee, make your tea, do something in the morning that causes you to do 3 belly breaths. Maybe it's right when you get in the shower. Maybe it's, some part of your morning routine. Stack your habits. Do at least 3 deep belly breaths. If you wanna know how to do that, again, go to the QR code. Before a Zoom meeting or before an event, before a meeting at your office or work or something, do 1 round of box breathing. You'll learn that. Maybe in the car when you drive to work, just a couple breaths right before you go in. Every time you check your phone, try a single psychological sigh. That's fun that she put that one there. Yeah, just you're going to read more about it. But before bed, 2 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing. Wow. Clear the clutter. If you can clear the clutter, your sleep will be more deep and better. Habit stacking, huge. So let's take a little bit of an assessment on the actions, all right? Let's assess your habits. So when we're doing an assessment, we'll try to do these, is first, what are your breathing? Do you have habits? Do you try to breathe differently throughout the day? Or do you not at all? Just assess. Number 2 is, what are some of those traps? Remember those common traps we get into. Do you have email female apnea? Do you have a mouth breathing or chest? Are you under stress? Do you forget to breathe? Make sure you're kind of taking hold of those traps. Make a plan for which technique you're going to use. What's the saying? I love the saying. I'm just going to say it is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Your thoughts become things. Your actions will be taken based on what you believe and feel inside. Energy follows thought. You're here tonight to hopefully, I can change your thinking, but ultimately I want to change your hearts to know that there are things you can do. You can feel better, you can move better, you can do better things, and your body was built to do them, but we have to give it the right nutrition, the right fuel, the right alignment, the right breath. So make a plan. If this is something you think this is an important one this month, then don't even come on another workshop and know when it's Tuesday, I'm going to do my breathing. I don't know what you need to do, but just focus on one thing, not everything.